We're here outside the office of the Crown Prosecution Service today, where Alison Saunders, one of the most vile, toxic, radical feminists of a generation, is the head of the Crown Prosecution Service. From the moment she was appointed to the job in 2013, she has demonstrated on many occasions her complete lack of interest in the suffering of men and boys. If we talk about male circumcision, it's unquestionably illegal, and we've had an exchange of letters with the Crown Prosecution Service. They don't deny it's illegal, but they refuse to bring prosecution services along with the police. In the area of domestic violence, 1 week after coming into her post, she wrote to 3 radical feminist campaigning organisations who work on behalf of female victims of domestic violence, and we're not aware that she's ever tried to engage with any male victims, with organisations representing male victims of domestic violence, but we've put in another Freedom of Information request to determine that. She's also the head of the service that is bringing an ever-increasing number of show trials of men on suspected sexual offences, and we have at the conference in 2 weeks' time in London a man called Mark Pearson, who famously passed a 60-something actress walking in the other direction in Waterloo Station, and was subsequently arrested and charged with sexual assault, and absolutely outrageous. It just shows how radical feminism is important in the criminal justice system, that such an absurd case could be brought. So we're campaigning today for Alison Saunders to be fired. She's a vile anti-male civil servant, and there should be no place for women or men like her in the civil service. Thank you.
Hello, today we're here at the Crown Prosecution Service building, and we're protesting against male genital mutilation of baby infant boys. And so the Crown Prosecution Service, they run the courts here in England, in Britain, and they've failed to actually take action against many of the people who are performing this act, which is illegal under their own definition, but they're not actually charging anyone with this heinous crime, even though it's going on all across the UK. And we think this is a terrible thing. And more generally, Alison Saunders, the Director of Public Prosecutions here in the UK, who works here at the Crown Prosecution Service, she has an awful track record when it comes to all issues to do with men's rights. One of the key examples is the fact that she's been, since she was appointed to the role of Director of Public Prosecutions in 2013, she has perpetuated the radical feminist agenda of rape culture by saying in a document not long afterwards that she basically wants to increase the number of men who are being convicted for rape. Now, this is absurd for a Director of Public Prosecutions, because you would think that someone who has been in the industry for that long, in the industry of law, would be aware of the concept of innocence until proven guilty. This concept states that you actually need to be proven beyond reasonable doubt to have committed a crime, and you can't just be charged of that crime because they need to increase the conviction rate. But that's what she wants to happen. She wants the conviction rates for the crime of rape to go up, irregardless of whether the man or not was guilty. And so you heard Mike talking earlier on about the Mark Pearson debacle, where this guy was just walking through a London Underground station, and apparently within about a second he had raped a woman. It's absolutely absurd, and so that's why we're here today. We're campaigning against male genital mutilation and of baby infant boys, a horrific practice, and we're also more generally campaigning against Alison Saunders because we believe she's a vile, man-hating feminist, and her agenda is to increase radical feminism at the expense of men. She's a man-hater. She needs to go. Thank you. Bye.
I'm here today, as I've done on I've lost count of the number of occasions now I've stood in the street protesting about mutilation, male genital mutilation, circumcision, call it what you may. It's a human rights abuse. There's millions of men in this world who've had this imposed upon them and been forced to accept it without realising really what they've lost. And that's the situation that I find myself in. After 50 years, I never actually fully appreciated what was taken from me when I was a baby, and it's like if you watch, which I'm sure everyone's done at some point or another, watched a documentary on television that's an expose about some ghastly thing that's going on in the world, and as I've done myself many times in the past, and I thought, wow, someone should be doing something about that, and I bet, now that they will, now that this has been on television, I'm sure there'll be things happening about this, and something's going to be done to stop that happening. And it didn't actually happen that way with me for about circumcision. I just saw something on the internet, because this is not the sort of thing that people want to put on television, and I can understand now why, because there's various lobbies in this world, religious lobbies and medical lobbies as well, that don't want really the truth about circumcision to be broadcast to all and sundry, and that's why there's not many people actually doing something to stop this abuse that's been forced on millions of boys and men, and that's why I'm here now today with some great guys who feel strongly enough about this to stand up in the street and to make the sacrifices that we're all doing, to stand in the streets, be ridiculed, be mocked, take abuse, and we get a bit of support, but we get plenty of ridicule, and just to wake people up and to get something done about this, because we know, I've discovered now after the few years I've been involved in this, that the authorities and the people who are in a position to be able to do something about this do not want to do something about this, and we need to rally public opinion to actually realise what is going on here. And this is a grassroots movement. It's just a few people that feel very strongly about this and are prepared to get out there and do something about this, and we're just going to keep on having to do this. We're in this for the long haul. This is going to be a slog, and I know people who have been doing this for 30, 40 years, who've been campaigning solidly on this issue, and I'm joining with them now, and there's more people picking up the message and joining in with this, and that's it. We just got to keep going with this, because this is a human rights abuse. This is a sex discrimination, because we have laws which specifically prohibit the cutting of any part of a girl's body by force, without her consent, her express consent, and yet it seems in this civilised 21st century world we live in, this can still be imposed on baby boys, and the world just accepts that as being something that's not an offence, that it's not something that should be opposed, and that's wrong. So that's my statement. Thanks for hearing me out, and hopefully there'll be some more people that will join with us and help to push this agenda along. Thank you.
Well, here we are outside the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, this afternoon. The department of government whose job it is to prosecute and bring prosecutions against criminals. But they're not doing that. Specifically, they're not prosecuting the mutilators of small boys, babies and children who are too young to give consent to genital mutilation. They're very happy to do this, to girls, or for girls, but they're not doing it for boys. Apparently, mutilating baby boys who are too young to consent does not matter. We're here today to see if we can raise public awareness to get this changed.
Circumcision is child abuse. Barnett. Circumcision of baby infant boys is forced genital mutilation. Jack the Ripper would approve. Female genital mutilation is illegal. Why isn't male genital mutilation illegal? We need to stop the chop. We need to stop cutting up baby boy infants' penises.
Yeah, so if we just walk across it, that'd be all right.